Hello everybody and welcome back to Chris Bosch Props. Today, as the title says, I want to show you the dark reality of 3D printing. And what do you mean by that, Chris? Well, 3D printing has not made me a drug addict. It has not made me an alcoholic. It has not gotten me caught up in extramarital affairs. That's not the dark reality I'm talking about. I'm talking about the amount of work that it takes to finish a 3D printed suit. Even just a helmet for that matter, or figurines. It takes a lot of work, and I know we get caught up watching some YouTubers and you'll see the finished product and you get inspired and you want to jump into 3D printing, you get into it, and then you get to this stage and you're like, what did I do? So I completely understand. I've been there. So I want to show you guys, without hiding anything behind an editing wall, how much work it takes to sand these 3D prints. I know today's mindset and attention span is about the size of a peanut. So with that being said, you're going to see me sanding for hours. I'm not going to hide anything. I'm going to show you how I do it and how I complete a RoboCop suit. So you can see for yourself before you even get to this stage, do you really want this? Like I said in my last video, I strongly believe that this is the stage that separates the men from the boys, and it's really going to expose your willpower and show you how bad do you really, really want this. So, without further ado, let's jump into it, and let me show you how I do it, and how long it takes. Okay guys, so this is what we're going to do today. We need to sand the entire RoboCop suit. Now if you're doing a project like this, you can split this up into multiple days. But I wanted to do this video where I'm not hiding anything. I'm just showing you how long it's going to take. I'm not going to edit. I'm not going to make any splices, any cuts. You're going to sit with me and we're just going to be miserable together and see how long this actually takes. And then when we're done, we'll go, okay, it took 2 hours to sand the whole suit, or it took 3 hours, or it took an hour. I don't know. We're going to find out together. So what I was saying about the dark reality of 3D printing is you jump into it, you see an amazing suit, and you're really inspired, okay? And then you get a 3D printer, and then you get something off the bed that looks like this. And we have these really ugly print lines, okay? If you're new to 3D printing, this is what you're going to get. You might not even get something this good. This actually looks pretty good. This is actually printed with a 0.6mm nozzle. But you're going to have all these ugly print lines. If you paint over it, you're going to see those print lines. It's not going to look smooth. It's going to look pretty amateur. So what I've done so far, I've already put countless hours into this, getting it assembled, gluing it, doing a little bit of sanding. But this is really the brutal part. This is the part that just really, as I said in my last video, sucks, because it takes a long time and it takes a radical amount of effort to get over the hill and get over this stage, to get the suit nice and clean. Now, I'm a perfectionist, but I'm not trying to achieve perfection with this suit. It's going to look good enough with the amount of work that I'm trying to put into it. But without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Let's see how long it takes to print and see if this is something you really want to commit to. So we're not going to hide anything here, guys. We're going to set it up and we're going to go to work.
I need to start doing this.
All right, guys, so we're going to start this. We're going to see how long it's going to take. So you're going to sit with me in my workshop. I'd be playing some music right now, but YouTube would get me on copyright. So guys, we're going to use on this 220 grit sandpaper. I'm going to do everything by hand. I know some of you are going to be like, well, just use a palm sander, Chris, or 30 other techniques. This is the way I do it, okay? As I said in my last video as well, there's no easy way out. Everybody has their own way, their own technique. It might shave a few minutes off here and there with certain techniques, but This is the way I do it. This helps me to get into all the little creases and crevices and channels and everything. So I'm going to do it by hand. Curse at me if you will. So let's go ahead. Let's hop into it and do it. I guess we'll start with the back piece. So this isn't really a tutorial, guys. I mean, sanding is pretty self-explanatory. But I just break off a little piece at a time. Let's start with the back. It's going to be a lot of work. So the new trendy printer, and you know, it is a good printer, and it does print really fast. That's the Bamboo Labs. I don't know, it's P1P. I think it's the X1 Carbon or something like that. They're good printers. But they still come out with print lines, guys. It doesn't really matter. The technology is just not that great, or you're not going to get print lines at the moment. If you don't want print lines, or at least not very visible ones, you might as well just go with resin printing. That's kind of where it's at when it comes to that. You know what, guys? I'm going to put some gloves on. And I'm going to put maybe a mask on. I don't know. This isn't really for safety. It's just because I don't want the dust. It's going to be a lot of dust. I probably should be wearing my N95. But I don't want to sound overly muffled to you guys. I'm not going to be talking the whole time. I'm going to be pretty focused. It's a beautiful day today, though. So like I said, you can break this up into multiple days. I mean, it's still going to be hours, depending on how you want it, you know. It really depends on the level of perfection that you want. You don't want to take too much of the red off. You want to keep it above those lines, because if you take it down too much with a lower grit, it's just going to expose those lines again. Very nice, very nice. I appreciate you guys sitting here with me and watching. I'm sure in another minute or two, if you haven't tuned out already, you probably will, because this is boring. It's really boring. And it's not very entertaining, so I understand. Completely understand. But I want to show you what it takes. Behind the curtain, as they say. Even my dog's bored already. He's like laying down, about to go to sleep. Huh, bud? I know you guys don't see him on camera, but he's right there. But you can see, starts looking pretty good. And then once everything is sanded like this, every piece, we'll start building up our filler primer layers. And then it'll start looking really good. Good, looking good. Hopefully I have enough sandpaper for this. I have a few sheets. I think it'll be plenty. But I've been using this no clog Ace Hardware. It's supposed to be like their 3M version or copycat. I mean, I love 3M sandpaper. You can't really go wrong with it. But I have an Ace Hardware in town here. That's pretty close. I gave it a shot and I like it. It's pretty good. Here's the brand so you see what I'm talking about. But I'll get this at Ace Hardware. It's pretty good stuff, guys. Worth the shot. The 3M sandpaper is expensive these days. Everything's expensive these days. Lots of dust, guys. You're going to get lots of dust. I do recommend wearing an N95 or some kind of mask. I should be, but I don't want to sound overly muffled for you guys for however long this is going to take. So yeah, this is the dark reality of 3D printing. It's very dark at this point. I'm already inside like the Simpsons. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? But no, we're the furthest thing from it. That's why I like doing it by hand, as I can get in and get these little channels and smaller pieces than I would be able to with a palm sander. Now I could take a palm sander to the major pieces, but I'm still going to have to come back by hand with this and finish this stuff up, do the finishing work. So I just figure I'd do all of it by hand. Sometimes those palm sanders, they get a little too hot and they just take off more than I want to take off. Are you guys suffering yet? If you're suffering, go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know if you're suffering or not with me. Let me know how much you're dying of boredom. I don't mind hearing. See, I like to get in these channels like this. I know this isn't like a tutorial, but that's why I like doing it by hand, because I can get in and get all that stuff. It's an amazing suit, you know, for the time, how detailed it was. I used to think that Iron Man was like a ripoff of RoboCop, you know, because I felt like RoboCop, you know, pop culture for me in the 80s came first before Iron Man. I mean, I know that's not true. I think the Iron Man in the comic books came way before RoboCop. But I watched a documentary, and Ed Neumeyer, who wrote RoboCop, said he was inspired by Iron Man. So actually, it's quite the opposite. He really liked the humanity side of Iron Man from the comic books and really wanted to incorporate that into the RoboCop movie. So, yeah, I was very easily and quickly corrected when I watched that. It's like, so RoboCop is more like a Iron Man ripoff in some sense, in some areas, not completely. Because a lot of Japanese, I guess, anime and stuff was an influence also. Japanese robots. Blowing the dust all back in my face. This stuff will make your lungs stronger, you know? It'll build up their immunity, you know? You hear all the birds, they're happy today. It's funny, if you listen to nature sometimes, if the birds are happy, it's usually a nice day. Like if you could hear the birds and they're chirping and they're happy, it's usually a beautiful day, generally speaking. I notice here in Texas, like when storms come through, the birds are gone. And you don't hear anything. You don't hear a peep out of a bird usually when a storm's coming through. And then that's usually a sign that there's probably something coming. They can sense it. Oh yeah, that's looking really good. Even just, I could tell with just this one coat that I did with spot putty, brushing it on, it's going to look really smooth. Once I start adding on the filler primer and building it up. But it's probably going to take a couple more of these sandings, maybe not as in depth, to get it where I want it. which is the good enough stage for me. I also got my that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Not too shabby. It actually looks really good, guys. I can tell there's a few spots that I'll have to work and come and hit with some spot putty. But overall, this is worlds better. Very nice. That looks pretty good. I got one more little side to do. And I think that this is good enough for me on this one. That Rocky song pops in my head. There's no easy way out. There's no shortcut home. My wife's coming out periodically to make sure that my camera's not shutting off, which defeats the whole purpose of me not editing anything so you guys can see. So she's periodically coming out to make sure that the camera's still recording. That's where we're at, guys, with this one. We're about 20 minutes deep on one piece. It is a pretty big piece, though, I have to say. So, I'm happy with that for now. one more time so you guys can see what it starts looking like. It starts going from something like this with tons and tons of print lines to getting pretty smooth. Now I know this still looks terribly ugly, and I'm going to come back and I still have to do all my finishing work, but this is my base sanding. And then I'm going to start building up my filler primer coats. Okay, so let's do, I guess we'll just do the chest. It's kind of screaming at me saying, sand me, sand me. I'm going to get me a new piece of sandpaper. I probably could still use a little bit of that, but you know what? We're just going to go fresh. We're going to go fresh on each piece. See, this piece, you could probably get away with some 220 on a palm sander because it has more open space, more open areas that you can benefit from a palm sander. And some of these smaller pieces, it's just too hard to get it in to some areas without compromising the PLA or the piece. Good. I hope I'm still in frame, guys. I don't really know if I am or not. I'm gonna hope I am. What you doing, big boy? Looking real good. I bet you there's nobody watching me right now. Bet you all have tuned out. If you're still with me right now at this moment, leave me a comment below. Just let me know. I'm sticking with you, Chris. I'm sticking with you through this one. I'm going through the pain with you. I'll be very surprised. Usually, like I said, I'd have some tunes going, making my life a little bit easier. But YouTube has great, like, AI or whatever. They could pick up anything. Even with low volume. We're getting there. Very slowly, as Elmer Fudd would say. One thing that works great on these, I think I've already showed you guys, is microfiles and micro needles. I'm not really going to do that right now. It's probably going to be something I'll do more on the next stage after the filler primer buildup. But you kind of go in with a micro needle file, and you really get in these channels here. It cleans them up really well. I'm not really worried about on this initial sanding. This, to me, is more like the major body work. To me, that's more like detailing. You're detailing your piece. I guess you can call this detailing, too. That's just the way I kind of break it up. One thing that helps me, guys, and it might help you, too, it might not. I don't know. Everybody's different when it comes to how they do things, is having, like, an agenda, okay? Fortunately, I'm a firefighter, so I do a 24-hour schedule where I work 24 hours and I'm off 48 hours. So I'm off for 2 days. So I know I have a lot more time than a lot of people do. But some days, you know, we get fires, we get really bad calls, and I'm worn out. I can't even do anything for the 2 days I'm off. So it varies, but usually on the time that I do have available, I try to, I should probably stand while I'm talking. I'm going to waste time and probably run out of storage. Try to have like an agenda. Like usually I'll have an agenda. Like I'll get up in the morning, me and my wife, we have coffee together, and I plan out kind of what I want to do. I want to go, you know, I'm going to sand this many pieces today. And no matter what, I'm going to get that done. Even if it's only like a few hours of work, that's what I need to do today. Or I'm going to add in, I'm going to glue in all the screws. I'm going to do that today. Because sometimes gluing in all those little screws took me hours, guys. It really did. Definitely not as many hours as sanding, but it took me hours to get everything in. I had to go in the computer, scale some of them, model new ones. So I add all that in too. It took quite a while. But it definitely did take me hours to even just glue them in. But I'll have an agenda. I'll have a plan. You know, today, no matter what, I'm going to brush on all of the spot putty with some acetone. I'm going to dedicate my time to getting this many pieces done. I think I broke that process up into 2 days. So I did like half the suit one day where I brushed everything on, and it took me like 3 to 4 hours. And then I did another day where I brushed the other half of the suit, and that took me like 3 2, 3, 4 hours. I'm not really sure. It took multiple hours though. So I would say altogether it probably took me about 6 hours, if I had to guess, just an estimate of brushing on the spot putty with acetone. But I set out to do a certain amount for that day. That makes it easier because you can get really overwhelmed and you feel like you need to do everything like I'm doing today. I just want to show you guys how long does it take to do all of it. If I wasn't filming it this way, I probably would have broke it up into 2 parts like I did brushing on the spot putty. But I want to show you guys. This you're going to get here. At one point or another, you're going to get to this, and I'm going to show you how long it's going to take you. And I think after this initial sanding, I will declare myself slightly over the hill. Just slightly. We still have tons of work to do. Tons of hours of work to do. But you know, in my last video, I was a little rough, a little harsh on this stage with some of you. And that's just because I want to get you motivated. You know, it's easy to get in front of the camera and look happy and smile. And, you know, it looks like it's the easiest job in the world. And it might come across that way with different YouTubers. And I don't want it to come across that way. It's hard work. It really is. There's no way around it. Everybody's trying to come up with the easiest solution, the easiest way to do something. And that's great because some of those techniques do help. But it's still hard work. No matter how you do it, it's hard work. There's some great techniques. I've learned this technique from somebody years ago. I can't even remember. It might have been, I don't really know. Maybe Nico Industries years ago, something like this. I think he did something like this with a wood putty, and then I was like, I wonder if acetone works on this. I don't remember, but it was years ago. I learned this technique from somebody. It didn't make anything easier, but it gave me a result I liked, you know. Because usually you'll use the spot putty with your finger, and you'll kind of like push it on. I've done that a lot, but I like the brush on because I can get into a lot of these nook and cranny areas that I couldn't as much with using my finger. But yeah, but back to what I was saying, guys, there's no easy way. This is hard work. There's harder work out there, but when it comes to doing something on such a large scale like this, it's hard work. And I know even I sometimes come off like anybody can do this. And I believe anybody can. If you really dedicate yourself and discipline yourself enough, you know, you have a dream or a prop you've always wanted, I believe you totally can. But it's up to you to have the discipline to set out and go, you know what, I'm going to put all my distractions aside. You know, sometimes you have to sacrifice time with certain people to come out here. Thankfully, I have a supportive wife. She loves me out here doing this, but I know some people don't. But sometimes you just got to sacrifice it and get after it, you know. This is my 3rd RoboCop suit, guys, my 3rd. So you are on me with my 3rd. I don't want to really officially call it. I'm working on my 3rd. When I say 3rd, I feel like I'm finished. I'm not finished. I'm working on my 3rd. I finished 2 suits. This one's not finished yet. I know some of you are probably saying, less talk, more work. I know. Get after it. Get after it. Almost there. Almost. But yeah, I laugh at some of the 3D printing stuff because I'm kind of a lurker on some things. I don't really... I have my opinion, and my opinion might not be the rightest opinion, but we're very tribal as... I'll read some 3D printing stuff, and as human beings, we're very tribal. And what I mean by that is, take people that are really into sports. I'm not so much into sports like I used to be back in the 90s, but I'm really into UFC. And when you're tribal, you're always backing something. You're behind somebody. You're behind a team. And, you're like, the Lakers are the greatest. The Chiefs are the greatest. And you stick with that team, even though there's another football team that, plays very similar or is the same way, but you're behind that team. And I think a lot of us, we get like that with our 3D printers, or whatever new one comes along. And everybody thinks that their printer is better than everybody else's printer. And I laugh at it because I've already said it, like the Bamboo Labs one. There's like a Bamboo Labs gang, guys. They're like the Bloods and the Crips. They'll get down on you. They'll drive by on you if you're, supporting a Creality printer or a Prusa printer or whatever printer. Then you have the Prusa gang, and then you have the Creality gang, and then you have I don't even think FlashForge is a thing anymore. MakerBot maybe, I don't really know. I think those are the main three brands. Oh no, Ender. Ender's a new one, and people are down with Ender, and those are great printers. They really are great printers. No, not Ender. I'm sorry, Elegoo. People are down with Elegoo. Those are great printers, but so much hostility just getting behind a printer, and you get mad, and you look down on everybody else's printer. That printer's old. It's not up to date. This thing is old. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's old. It's really, really old. But do you know what? It works. It drives. It's faster than a lot of your guys' cars. It might not have all the fancy electronics, but it drives to point A to point B much the same way that your new high-tech Escalade or whatever you have does, And I see that same way with FDM printing, guys. Some printers are better than others. Some are better quality than others. I totally agree with that. Highly agree with that. But no matter how much smoother they come out, and some of those Bamboo Lab prints, they're really smooth, but they still have print lines. You're still going to have to do the grunt work like this. It doesn't really matter. The one thing I would say positively about the Bamboo printer is, from what it seems like, it's fast. It's a really, really fast printer. So it's good to see the technology of FDM going where the prints are faster, but there's tricks and there's other loopholes to make your prints fast too, like printing with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle instead of a 4 millimeter nozzle. That cuts off like half your time, I'm serious, or at least a third of it. So there's no need to be tribal, guys. FDM is really not that advanced. I still use old Creality CR10s, and here again, I'm getting tribal now, but it works. I've gotten 2 RoboCop suits out of it, tons of other prints that I've done with it. And the Creality CR10, I got the original back when like Uncle Jesse was pumping it, 3D Printing Nerd, when it first came out, because the original CR10, I need to be quiet and keep saying it, was a game changer, guys. I know some of you are more into the newer stuff, but the original CR10 5, 6 years ago, was a game changer. You don't even know. That is what helped a lot of us in the cosplay world, because the bed size was so big for the price. But anyway, the original Creality CR10 that I own, it's not even the S model. It's like the original. Super cheap, easy to replace the parts. It still works, guys. I've put countless hours on that printer and it still works, and I've upgraded practically nothing on it. It has the original hot end. The only thing that I've upgraded, I don't even know if it counts as an upgrade, is the Capricorn tubing. And I did a metal extruder. Those were the only two upgrades that I did on it. Same heat bed, same everything, still works, still prints just as good. With maintenance, of course, you know, tightening your belts. Gotta level my bed every now and then. It has the same thumb screws on it. People always make those thumb screws were bad, and I don't know what people are talking about. They still work great for me. But anyway, still works, guys, still works. Like my 1966 Mustang. My Creality CR10 works. It don't got all the bells and whistles. It don't got all the advanced bed level and stuff the new ones do, but the prints come out nearly or just as good as the printers with all the bells and whistles on them. And it just depends what you want. I'd much rather print a suit on a Creality CR10 than I would a Bamboo Labs for sure. Alright, I think that's good enough for me for now. Of course, my hand is going to meet this many more times. So, that's the chest, guys, for right now. We're already 45 minutes deep, and we've only got 2 pieces done. Two big pieces, nonetheless. All right, let's do, you know what, do this one here. So yeah, guys, don't get wrapped up in all that hype with printers. If what you got works for you, make it work. That's how I see it. Then you just end up spending a lot of money you don't need to spend either. I love the Creality CR10. I still love that printer. So I guess I'm riding with it. I'm tribal with it. Even the Ender 3, I have an Ender 3 that I use. It still dishes out. No upgrades. I mean, factory out of the box. I don't really do the upgrade stuff. I'm not into the 3D printing upgrades that people get into. I mean, yada yada. It still comes out the same. Might be a little bit faster, or, I mean, I don't even know. I don't even understand all the upgrade stuff. I've met so many people that try to do those upgrades on printers, and they end up ruining their printers. It works out of box. Why do you have to upgrade it? I don't understand it. My Ender 3 out of box, I mean, it prints perfect. It ain't the fastest printer in the world, but the thing just works. I am really liking, though, the Elegoo printers. What I'm really admiring about them is what you're getting for what you're paying. Like, it's really good quality printers for the price. They just came out with an Elegoo Max. It's like kind of like replacing the CR10 Max for like $500. Very similar size. That's a great price for a cosplay printer. But one thing I like about CR10s or Creality printers is they're easy to fix. So many places available to get parts, you know, nozzles, hot ends. So I think that's what gives Creality to me the upper hand with a lot of printers too, is it's just easy to replace parts when you need to. I really haven't had to, other than like, I'm trying to think if I've had to replace anything. Oh, I got a deal on a CR10 Max, a really good deal on a CR10 Max, but it was missing some parts. And that's already a hard printer to get pieces for. But it was missing the the Z rods, like the stabilization rods. It didn't come with it, so I had to find a suitable replacement because they don't even make replacements for the Max for those rods. So I kind of had to cut some corners, and I used the ones for the S5, which they make replacements for, and I just did a little kind of modification to it, but it worked just fine. But it's nice just to have stuff like that, replacement parts available for a lot of the printers, except, you know, the more specialty printers like the Max. Gideon, hey! My dog's trying to run over to the mailman. Gideon, come, hey! Now, let's go. You don't want to see you. Gideon, hey, now. Oh yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. One thing I will say, one regret that I had when it comes to this suit is I used my old saved G-code files that were on an old SD card from the first suit that I did. And at that time, I was a little more reluctant and scared to print all of the pieces, like to print larger pieces. For instance, this arm, I don't know if you guys have watched the previous videos when I was gluing some of it together. I did it in like, I want to say 4 or 5 pieces. I'm not entirely sure. And I wish I just would have did it in 2. You know, like I would have just did one cut and then printed both sides instead of having to glue so many pieces together. But I was lazy and I didn't want to go back on the computer and recalibrate every little piece again and recut everything. I would have spent, you know, quite at least a few hours just doing that, and I didn't want to do it, so I just used the old files. But I kind of regret and wish that I would have recalibrated it just so I didn't have to glue together so many pieces and smooth out so many seam lines. But nonetheless, we got it done. Just small regret. If you guys do have a CR10, I would recommend doing it in less pieces. You know, at least 2. I would say 2 to 3. It would just make it a little easier for you. Don't do 4 or 5 like how I did. And I think the chest, I did almost 8 pieces or something. So, yeah, way too many pieces. I wish I would have just sacrificed a little bit more supports, a little bit more material for less work in the end when it came to assembling everything. But you know, it's been fun, guys. I mean, I love doing this. It's my passion. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to put into words. I just really enjoy this. I really enjoy doing YouTube and being able to help you guys out. I know I'm not the best YouTuber and best editor, and I'm working on it, but I just really enjoy helping and trying to inspire others to take on their dreams, you know. I know some people, they get into this and they don't have any skills. They don't, you know, they probably don't know what a flathead screwdriver is to a Phillips head screwdriver. But you're inspired and you want to do this, but you're discouraged. I mean, don't be, guys. I mean, just, the key to this is discipline. You don't have to know all that stuff, but you can learn it. You can learn it. There's never been a time where there are so many resources available. It's ridiculous, guys. It's ridiculous. Now, yeah, you kind of have to go through the trash, and you kind of have to go like, you know, this guy, he don't know what he's talking about. You have to go through that, and you kind of, sometimes you have to learn the hard way. But there's so many resources available, so many people to help you. There's some really excellent YouTubers that can help you. You know, Frankly Built is amazing. Darkwing Dad is amazing. Who are some other ones? Punished Props is amazing. I mean, those, they can really help you to learn these skills. And tools are so much more affordable and cheap. Harbor Freight, best friend. It's your best friend. Just don't worry about Home Depot. Don't worry about Lowe's. Don't worry about expensive tools. Harbor Freight. All day, every day. I don't care how cheap their tools are. They're amazing. And they'll get you where you need to be and get you the right amount of tools to get this work done. Buy yourself a $10 drill gun. Don't worry about it. It's going to work. It's going to be able to do enough work to get this done. Actually, I don't even know if you have to really drill any. No. There's a few little parts of the build you'll have to drill. I can't remember them offhand. What do I do? There's a few parts in the knees, but mostly everything's hot glued. But you'll know, you'll find out as you go along what tools you need. But don't worry if you don't know anything, just learn it. There's never been a better time to get into props or whatever it is that you want to do. There's just so much resources available. I wish there was that much available back when I started in like 06. YouTube really wasn't a thing. You know what I watched YouTube for in 06 or 07? Kimbo Slice. That's all I cared about. Kimbo Slice was the man. If you're still watching and you heard that, agree with me down there. You knew Kimbo Slice was the man as well. But yeah, YouTube is amazing. There are so many helpful people out there to learn how to do this stuff. Anybody can do it at this point. It's just, do you want to invest the time? Like right now, I've done 3 pieces in like an hour. But I've been talking a lot too, so that's slowing me down. All my gloves are ripped up already. Probably didn't really need them, to be honest with you. Yeah, this is the greatest time to get into this field, guys. If you want to do it, even if you want to start your own YouTube channel. I say learn the skill first, get out there, practice it, so you have something to share, you know. Or, you know what, you could start your own YouTube channel, not knowing anything, and then take people along with you and say, hey, I don't know anything. If you don't know anything, come along with me and we'll learn together. That's a good concept, good idea. That works too. I can see that. Definitely. Really good, guys. Alright, I think that's good enough for me. Looking pretty good. Good enough for me for now. Okay. This was one piece I was just playing around off camera before I started filming today. This is pretty much how it looked on one side. You can see some of the roughness. This was just a, kind of a careless sanding like what I'm doing now. And I just put a coat of filler primer on it, and just look how much more smoother it is. You got a little bit of striation there, but I mean, it ain't nothing that some filler primer or some more filler primer won't fill up. But yeah, just off this initial coat, it's already so smooth. Honestly, you'd probably be fine just getting away with that, but I want it a little bit prettier. I think that's the next advancement that I'm waiting for with FDM printing, is some form of FDM printing, which includes maybe resin technology that can build these models without print lines or close to no print lines, where you don't really have to do as much sanding like this, where maybe just a coat of filler primer, just one coat of filler primer would get rid of it. Like most resin prints, it's all you really need to do. You don't really have to do a whole lot of cleanup. I'm waiting for a technology like that where you can still somehow incorporate infill, because that's kind of the downside to resin printing. As smooth as it is, if I was to try to print this model with it, it would be probably 2 to 3 times heavier than this, because this is kind of hollow. It has infill. It has layers that go around it, and it's packed with infill, or it's built up with an infill that leaves some hollow space, so you're not using just solid filament, and it would make the piece a lot heavier. Resin printing, if you were to try to do this suit with resin printing, which you could, I mean, it would be a lot of work, a lot of mess, I would say, more than anything. But you could. It would be heavy. And some resins are brittle, but the Soraya Tech, it's fine. It would be just fine. Super strong. But you're still going to have to do multiple pieces, glue everything together, or warp everything together. with like acetone or something. Or not warp it, but kind of like chemical bond it. That looks really good. Good enough for me. Grab me a little water. Make sure you drink lots of water, stay hydrated, you know. Act like I'm running a marathon, huh? Guess we can knock this out. These gloves are pretty useless. Just gotta take it like a man. Safety police are all over me right now. You don't have a mask on. You're not wearing gloves. The state of California says you'll get cancer. I think some people have never done anything in their lives and have no life experience sometimes. I used to get my cars painted from this guy in somewhere in Texas, and he'd paint cars and do the body work. I mean, he did everything without a mask. This guy was like in his probably 60s, almost 70s. He had been doing it forever, and it always blew my mind because you'd walk in and you smell acetone and paint and everything. I mean, he never wore a mask. Ever. And it's funny. I'm not saying that's the best practice, but he's one of many, trust me. You get what I call the YouTube safety police. I mean, they're always out there like they have your best interest. When in actuality they're just trying to show off like they know everything and they know all the best practices, but they come off like they're civil heroes trying to, you know, save people's lives. And you need to wear a mask when you do that. You know, you shouldn't be mixing acetone with... Be quiet. Seriously, be quiet. Do you have any life experience? Have you ever done anything in your life, really, honestly? It's ridiculous. But that's just YouTube. You're going to have people like that. Now, we could always be safe in certain things, I understand, but really, It's ridiculous. I haven't gotten it too bad, but I've seen some other people get it pretty rough. The safety popos, I call them. Safety 5-0. Ain't like you're gonna live forever anyway, you know? None of us do. Might be able to postpone a little bit with certain practices, but it's coming for us all, inevitably. That's looking really pretty. But yeah, what I said about microneedling, guys, or microneedling, using needle files, is for little details like that. You can see there's a little bit of filament in there. I'll come in with a needle file and I'll clean all these little channels up with it. Some of these areas too. So I'm not worried about that being like perfectly clean right now. I'll come back later with a needle file and clean all these little crevices out. This is just a general sanding. I think I'm being a little more anal than I actually should be. And I'm talking too much, so. I guess my point with the safety police stuff, and just people are always so afraid of everything these days. I've noticed growing up, everyone's just so terrified of everything. It's got to be news media and social media, I'm sure, that just, it scares people out of their boots, and everyone's so afraid to die, you know. It's a sad culture we live in these days, is what I'm saying. Everybody's so terrified of every little thing. You gotta take risk, guys. Risk. No risk, no reward. That's with anything in life. There's some people that have done the most dangerous, unsafe practices and things, but they did it, and we revere them as being great because they took chances, you know? Now, I'm not saying go out and drink gasoline. I'm not saying that, but take risks. Don't be so afraid of everything. You got to take a risk. No risk, no reward. As firefighters, we have this saying called risk a lot to save a lot, risk a little to save a little. That gets very blurred sometimes, but no risk. If there's no risk in that, there's no reward in that. You know, you got to risk sometimes, guys. Take this stuff on. Risk it. Risk it all. You want this? Risk it. You know, you're never going to get the reward unless you risk your time, risk your energy, your effort, your strength, your mind. It's worth it. It's worth it, guys. It really is. I want to see some of you guys take things on. Take your dreams on. If you're doing a suit here with me, take it on. Do it. Get out there. Finish it. Don't worry about every little thing. Don't be scared of every little inaccuracy or imperfection or whatever it is. Just go after it. Conquer it. Defeat the thing. Cut Goliath's head off with your little sling. You don't need a whole lot. You just need a sling and courage. Cut his head off. You know what got me so into RoboCop suits, guys? Now I know, like, nobody's watching right now, but it's okay. I don't mind talking to myself. I'm going to share my story anyway. What got me into RoboCop suits was back in, like, 2008. I've always been a huge RoboCop fan. I want to say this was 08. 09, maybe. I don't know. It was somewhere around there. I've always loved RoboCop. I wanted a RoboCop suit. Now, 3D printing was non-existent back then, at least for use at home or DIY. It was not available, and if it was outrageously priced. Like, no one could afford it. But anyway, I always wanted a really RoboCop. I always really wanted a RoboCop suit, but there was really no way of getting one. Like, I don't even think Pepakura at that time was a thing at all, and I'm not really a huge fan of the Pepakura suits. I admire those who do it because some look amazing and they have way better qualities than this, especially when it comes to putting them on. Some of these guys can put them on without any help. Not in my case. But anyway, I really wanted a RoboCop suit. And at that time, the only guy that did RoboCop suits was a man by the name of Bruce Hansing. And he was from the UK. And he was able to obtain some molds, I think in the early 2000s, maybe 90s, some stunt molds. Like, it was like a stunt promo suit that they used for the RoboCop 2 movie that he was able to obtain. But it looked really good. I mean, that was the closest thing that you were going to have at that time to a RoboCop suit that looked remotely like something that, you know, came out of the movie. And you could see there's some videos on YouTube still of people wearing their Bruce Hansing suits. And they look pretty good. At that time, I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I really, really, really wanted one. So I reached out to Bruce, and you know, he was more than willing at that time. Now, I think he's retired now. I don't think he does anything. I know other people have those molds, or they've gotten suits where they've made molds. But at that time, he was more than willing to do it. And I want to say at the time I paid, and this was for a finished one by Bruce, I want to say I paid like $2,400, which, you know, $2,400. That was still a lot of money back in 2008, 2009, but I was blessed enough and to have enough money to purchase one, so I bought one. And it took, you know, a couple months for him to deliver it, and I was so excited. Like, I'd watch RoboCop almost every day, every other day, waiting in anticipation to get this suit from Bruce, because to me, at least from far in pictures, it looked like the movie RoboCop suit, you know. At that time, in my mentality, I thought it did. But then it showed up on my porch one day in a big old DHL box, and you don't even know how excited I was. I mean, my heart was like out of my body. I was that excited. So I bring this big old ginormous box in. I think that almost looks pretty good. I bring this big old ginormous box in, start unloading it, and it's got to be one of the biggest disappointments I've ever had in my entire life. It looked good from far. It looked good in pictures, but it was the furthest thing from good. But I'll get to that in a second. The paint just was bad. The clear coat was bad. I mean, it had clear coat drips, yellow clear coat drips, and it looked like it was painted when a sandstorm hit. I mean, it had, you know, it was like rough, sandy, and I mean, the detail on the Hansing suit was horrific. It was horrible. Now, of course, you couldn't tell that in pictures, but like all these channels on the legs and various other pieces were like filled with resin, or, you know, the silicone mold had broken down to a point where that detail was barely there anymore. It was just bad, guys. I can't even put it into words of how bad. Now, I know some of you that are watching probably have a Hansing suit and you love it, and that's great. Good for you. But it was the most disappointed I had ever. For the amount of money I paid, $2,400, I felt like at that time, even in 09, 08, whatever, I felt like it was garbage. Like, I felt like I literally had garbage. I was so disappointed. I felt like in order to get it where I needed it, I would have to completely overhaul it down to every little detail. Like, it was that bad. Now, on camera and pictures, it looks great. At the time, it's all we had. That's all you had. There was nothing else. If you wanted a RoboCop suit, that was the only way you were ever going to have one. At least that's what I thought at that time. But anyways, I was so disappointed, so disgusted on how much I paid for it that I sold it. I got rid of it. I didn't even want to look at it anymore. At that time, I really wasn't as confident in my skills to be able to overhaul it. So I didn't even want to deal with it. I didn't want to look at it. When I looked at it, I just looked at it with complete disappointment. So I got rid of it. I sold it. I sold it for way cheaper than I bought it just because I wanted to get rid of it. I think I sold it for like $1,800. Somebody bought it within like seriously 5 minutes of me posting it. And I got rid of it. And I regretted it. I really did. I regretted it. I completely, for years, I regretted it. So you got to think, this was like in 09. We'll just say it was 09, it was somewhere around there, and I was extremely disappointed and sad that I got rid of it. I had such regret for years, like, you're an idiot. You should have just kept the suit. You should have just kept it, and when your skills were big enough or good enough, you could have finished it. You could have went out, tackled it, conquered it, defeated it, and you would have had the best Bruce Hansing suit. Why were you so impatient? Why were you so dumb? For years, that negativity and that voice went in my head. I really regretted it. And then 3D printing came along. So that was in 09. And then that nagging voice, I mean, it went away. That looks pretty good for now. Not too shabby. Where are we at now? How many? 1 hour and 22 minutes. Wow. Wow. So that voice went on in my head for years, guys. And I continued doing props. You know, I was very into the proton pack scene at that time. Heavily into the proton pack scene, Ghostbusters. And I loved building proton packs, so that kind of kept me distracted. And I used to sell a shell that I built from scratch that I was able to obtain some measurements and plans from the original suit. And that kept me distracted for years. But that nagging voice still was always in the back of my head, like, you are so dumb. Like, why did you sell it? And then at that point, like, if you were ever to find one, even today, if they pop up, you're going to pay at least $6,000. Honestly, for a Hansing suit, at least $6,000. And it's terrible. It's a terrible suit. Even to this day, it's terrible. Even the ones that people have done and refurbished, and I think there's some prop makers out there that have new molds of it, it's still just, it's not a good suit. It just doesn't look good. The proportions don't look right. It's not very good. But anyway, I keep sidetracking, guys. I kept myself distracted, and then that nagging voice it came back like in 2016, into 2015, 2016. And I just started doing some research, and at that time, I didn't know, because I didn't really keep up with the 3D printing world, but 3D printing had become more available to consumers, had become more affordable for consumers. So I started doing a lot of research on 3D printers. And then one day, honestly, I was just like, I wonder if someone did a 3D model of the RoboCop suit. I wonder. So I did a Google search for RoboCop STL model or something like that. And then randomly, to my complete surprise, and I'm telling you, I was completely surprised. I knew nothing about it. I got no heads up. I found a couple files. One was a girl on RoboCop Archive that had been doing a model. I can't remember her name. But I reached out to her because her model at that time looked really, really good. And I reached out to her that I was very interested. That I let her know at that point I was already going to buy a 3D printer. And I wanted to see if she would sell me her files, so I could print them. She said yes, and then I never heard from her again, and I don't even think she ever came on the RoboCop archive again to this day. But they looked really cool. You could probably still find those files if you look for them. But they looked really, really, really neat. The next one that came up was Do 3D. Do 3D had just released their RoboCop files. And to me, looks pretty good. To me, I thought those files looked amazing at that time. Even as inaccurate as they were, I had the Bruce Hansing suit to compare to. Like I do with this, I still had that suit to compare to. So even with the glaring inaccuracies that the Hansing suit had, I'm sorry, I'm trying to chew bubble gum and think at the same time. Even with the glaring inaccuracies that the Do 3D files had, I knew that if I 3D printed them, detail-wise, it would still look better than a Bruce Hansing suit. So I took it on, I bought the files, and it was like, at that time, to me, it was a redemption story. Like, all that negativity, it turned into, like, I wouldn't say anger, but it turned into a fire. Like, I'm going to go after this. I'm going to do to this suit what I should have did to my Hansing suit. That was my mentality, and I went after it, guys. I don't know if any of you have kept up with me on the RoboCop archive and the RPF, but if you did, the pictures are still there. If you go to Do 3D's site and you look up that RoboCop suit or those files, they use my pictures of the finished suit. And to me at that time, that was my redemption story. Now, even with that suit, I wasn't fully happy with it because it wasn't super accurate. But at the same time, I felt like I got my redemption completing it. And I completed it really. I was very proud of that suit. For as inaccurate as it was, and all the mods that I did to it, I'm still proud of that suit. But that was my redemption story, guys. At least at that time in my life. Like, I felt like, okay, I got rid of my Hansing suit, but you know what? In 2016, I got to make a comeback and complete a 3D printed. I think I was the first person to complete a RoboCop suit at that point in time. So that was a redemption story. And then in 2020, these files came along. I was just doing a random search. And I saw these files, and of course I really had to look at them because a lot of people will release RoboCop files every now and then. And they're really bad. Like really, really bad. Like horribly bad. But these ones, I was like, nah, these are new and they look a little different. Let me check these out. And once I really looked at them, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's like the movie suit. Like, that's the closest I've ever seen, or I think we will ever get to a movie RoboCop suit. Now, I know this suit has its inaccuracies. I know, guys. But come on, really? I mean, for a replica, this suit is amazing, guys. Try to knock it all you want. Go model one yourself. Yeah, it ain't happening. This suit is amazing. And as you've seen in my videos, if you finish it and get it done, even with some of the glaring inaccuracies, it looks like it just walked off the movie set of RoboCop 1. I believe that to this day. So I finished that in 2020. I took that project on. That's pretty much where I started my YouTube channel. I felt confident. I had already finished the Do 3D, so I was like, you know what? I might as well just start a YouTube channel showing how I do it. I've already done it. But I didn't know anything about YouTube and filming or really anything like that, so I kind of had to learn how to film and how to do things. And as you can see, it was horrible, terrible. I'm still not that good. But I finished that second suit, and you know, now we're on this one. I wanted to be more detailed with this one. I know I still really haven't been overly detailed. I thought this would be cool. I thought, hey, you know what? Why not just show them? Show them really what it takes. At least when it comes to, I think, the worst stage of the build. Let's show them what it takes. The grind. But yeah, I'm very, very thankful for this suit because, I mean, this is the suit that, you know, kind of helped moderately small, on a very small scale, help me grow my YouTube channel. So I'm thankful for all you guys supporting me and watching, but, you know, don't live your life with regrets is kind of my point of that whole long, drawn-out, distracted story. Don't have no regrets. You know, you're going to regret not taking it on. You're going to regret not finishing it. You know, if that fire's lit, don't let it go out, you know, because you don't want to waste so many years when that negative self-talk comes back and you're like, why didn't I just finish it then? You know, why didn't I just do it? Why couldn't I overcome myself? Overcome yourself, guys. Overcome it. Ignore that negative talk. You know, or you're afraid what people think about you or what they're going to think about your suit, or who cares what people think? It's what you think. Who cares? People are going to be negative. Nobody likes anything hardly these days, you know. Everyone's very negative. Everyone's very quick to just point out every little fault that you make. That's going to happen. As I said, haters are going to hate. Unfortunately, it's just the way our society is. We have a very negative culture and society now. You're going to have to face that. But honestly, like at a Comic-Con, guys, I wore my suit at a Comic-Con. I've worn it out in public. Another time filming my OCP video for hours. And man, people just fall in love. There ain't no negative stuff out there on YouTube and the online world. Plenty of negativity. When you're out wearing it, yeah, non-existent. No one could come up and say any of the things that they say on YouTube when you're out wearing it. Don't worry about it. Get it done. Go after it. As they say in the UFC, let's go. Let's go. No regrets, guys. No regrets. Don't regret it. Over something petty, you know. risk a lot to save a lot, as we stick by with firefighting. It's a lot of risk, but you're going to save a lot. There's a huge reward with the risk for this. It's worth it. And then you could always say, you know, I overcame. Nobody likes adversity, you know. We always want it easy and comfortable, and that's not the way life is, guys. To do great things, you have to overcome adversity. There is no greatness without adversity, without hardship, without struggle, in anything you do, no matter the scale, you know. Overcome. Conquer your adversity, whether it be people, family, your own voices. Overcome it. It's not easy. There's easy parts about it, but overall, it's not easy. That was good. That's my foot that I modified and made a lot lower in that area. It's all filled in and puttied and looks pretty good. What are we now? An hour and 36 minutes. Told you guys. No joke. Good. Lots of dust, guys. Lots of dust. That looks pretty good. Oh, I think we got a little bit of life in this piece. Big legs actually a little easier because you have more surface area. You just go, you know. I bet some of you are like, I'm out. I'm done with 3D printing. I'm out. This video might do that. It might do that. That's okay. I mean, I always say it's better to be honest with yourself. Like, that ain't for me. I'm out. But fortunately, guys, this is what it takes. This is what it takes. If you want it, you got to do this. I mean, you can go full print lines and just say, you know what, forget it. I don't care about all that. I'll take the print line. You can do that too. I'm sure there's people out there that do that. Embracing the print lines. I embrace them. You know, I'm not worried about every little print line. I'm really not. Just the really bad ones, you know. I don't want anything super obvious on my suit. But I leave a few. I leave plenty. I don't have no issue with it though. I kind of, what made me more like that and helped me to overcome, you know, that perfectionism that I have. I've really gotten a lot better over the years. I used to be really bad when it came on proton packs. I was horrible. I hated myself. It made everything so complicated and difficult. You're always buying parts. You're always replacing parts. Because you need it has to be perfect. You know, it's got to be just like the movie. If it's not like the movie, I can't take it. It's stupid. It's stupidity. I think of these Iron Man guys, even a lot of their suits, even because most people use the 3D Iron Man suits. I mean, they're not accurate to the movie, you know. They're off in some areas, but when it's done, it looks amazing. You know, it's kind of how I feel about this suit. It's not perfect, but it's really close to perfect in terms of the detail and the accuracy. And the proportions and stuff. I think it's pretty close. Really close. Lost my train of thought. Oh, I got it back. Came right back, popped right in there. What helped me to overcome that negative, like that perfectionism when it came to this suit, especially on my last one. With my Do 3D suit, I was not like that. Even as bad as that suit was, like there was Oh, you guys don't even know. I never videoed anything, but I cut so many details out. I mean, I repurposed that whole suit. Please check it out. If you just search Do 3D RoboCop suit, the files come up, and most of the pictures, you can see it. It's in front of my garage here, a lot of the pictures. And it's not perfect. It's inaccurate in a lot of its proportions and shapes and everything, but I added so much detail to that by hand. I rebuilt areas with styrene and fiberglass, but it was bad. My perfectionism was bad at that time. Even as imperfect as that suit was, you know, to me it was perfect. Even with the inaccuracies, it was perfect. And it took me 2 years, guys. 2 years, and I still was a firefighter at that time, and I still had a lot of time off. It took me 2 years to finish that Do 3D suit. I think it took me only a year and some change for this suit, I think. But I did molds and everything of this suit, so if I did no molds, it just probably would have been about a year. But what helped me overcome, I know I'm going all over the place, what helped me overcome that perfectionism was the reference photos that I have. I have a lot of like HD reference photos from the movie and from the actual suit, and it's so imperfect. There's so many imperfections in the castings, you know, pitting and scratches and dents and warping, and it's like, really, Chris, really, like, why are you trying to make it better than the movie? It's not that big of a deal, man. Chill out, relax. So that helped me a lot. And now I'm not as crazy. It still looks amazing. I'm not saying I don't put in the work. Obviously, you can see we're already almost 2 hours here, and I still have this tote completely full of pieces. I put in the work, but I'm not as crazy. Like when it's going to come to really finishing this and putting my primer coats on, I'm not going to go crazy over every little imperfection. I'm going to get the bulk of it, but I'm not overly worried about a good majority of it. Once paint and clear coat are on it, it gives it some charm. You know, it does. It gives it some charm. I'd be proud enough to mold it and sell it, you know, if I ever thought about that. Even with the stuff that I leave, I wouldn't be too worried about it. So yeah, guys, the movie suits of these, far from perfect. So don't worry about it. Just finish it, guys. I say that. I say that. And this detail right here. So I guess I'm going to confess, guys, to you, if you're still with me. If there's still half a person with me. Let me clean it up a little bit. This piece right here, I think I'm pretty much done with it. Actually. This piece right here, okay? I'm talking about how Mr. Not Accurate, or how much I don't care about the inaccuracies, and I caught myself. But it's okay. Some things I do fix and I do correct. This notch right here, or this vent, I don't know what it is, but anyway, this on the original model comes down to like right about here. It goes all the way down, and I know why he did that, because this RoboCop 2 suit that sold at auction, for some reason this little vent or whatever that comes down, it comes all the way down here, and I think that's what he used as reference. But on the RoboCop 1 suit, which is my favorite suit and what I always try to replicate, this vent or notch, whatever you want to call it again, is a lot shorter. So I sculpted, I filled this in with a sculpting putty and resculpted it and made it smaller. So I'll admit I'm a little bit of a hypocrite telling you guys to not worry about inaccuracies when that was something I did correct. But there are some things that I have corrected to make more accurate. But there's a lot of things that I haven't either. For instance, like I think like on the original RoboCop suit, this engraving right here is longer. You know, it's not as short. I don't care. You know, it doesn't bother me. It looks pretty much the same. So no big deal. There's other things like that throughout the suit. You know, some pieces look a little longer than others from the suit. The spacing might be a little bit different between some things. I don't care. It still looks amazing. It still looks almost like the original piece. So, yeah. Moving on. Make sure we're still recording. We still are. I'm using a 128 gigabyte SD card, a fresh one, and it just wasn't entirely sure how many hours I can get. I didn't know how many hours it was going to take. I was guessing. I was like, maybe 2 hours, 2 hours, yeah. We're almost 2 hours in. If you're still with me, drop a comment. Timestamp it. Let me know. Say, hey, Chris, I'm still with you, man. This is the most boring content ever. You know, I'm more of a TikTok guy, but you know what? I'm sticking with you. I'm still here. As boring as this is, how ridiculous you are, I'm still with you, Chris. Or do I need to sing the song all by myself? It's okay. What kind of music do you guys like? I'm just thinking, I'm wishing I had some music going right now. If you don't know me, I'll share a little bit of the music I like. I'm like 41, so I'm old, guys. I don't really like new music per se. I listen to I love 80s rock, 70s rock, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, Deep Purple, Ronnie James Dio, Rainbow, Black Sabbath, Metallica. I like 90s hip hop, R&B. I listen to Motown, Michael Jackson. I mean, I listen to a little bit of everything. So, how about you guys? I probably would have had like an 80s playlist on, you know, just random, a pop rock playlist. Maybe a 70s one. What are your favorite movies? You'd probably think mine is RoboCop. It's actually not. I love RoboCop. I think it's an amazing movie. The prop, the suit, is one of my favorite movie props of all time. It's not my favorite movie. My favorite movie would probably be, it's probably a cross between Superman the movie, the original, the 1978 Superman, or Rocky. I love Rocky. I'm a Rocky, which is weird because I don't have any props that I've done with Rocky on this channel. I mean, I kind of turned into the RoboCop guy. I didn't set out to do that. I really didn't set out to be the RoboCop guy. I became the RoboCop guy, unfortunately. But I don't mind. I mean, that's the reason my channel has grown is because of this suit. So I'm very grateful for it. But Rocky, I love Rocky. All the Rockies. Not so much the Creed movies. I mean, I liked the Creed 1 and 2. I haven't seen the new one yet. I've heard it's really good. I'm on Stallone's side. I feel kind of wrong or guilty going and seeing it. But I love Rocky. They've always been very inspiring movies to me in life. So, yeah. And then RoboCop would probably come in there. I love Terminator 2, Terminator. RoboCop would probably fall in line with Terminator, probably equally. That's one thing I've been wanting to do. I have this build sitting. It's a T800 skull. Not the one that everybody does. It's a really nice one. It looks like it was scanned from the original skull. And it's just been, I have it printed out. It's just been sitting in my room, and I've been wanting to do it and do like a little, I don't know if a tutorial, but just do maybe a show and tell, show off build of it. It's sitting. I'll get to it one day. I assure you. I think we're doing some fresh sandpaper. So if you're still with me, I'll let you in on a little secret on the filament that I use for this suit. So the filament I use for this suit is PLA Plus, and it's made by Sunlu. I've already shared this, but I'll let you in on it. It's PLA Plus by Sunlu. The reason you want to go with PLA Plus, guys, on your builds is it has more heat resistance. This reminded that the sun came out. It's kind of cloudy today, and the sun came out, and it reminded me that you need something that has a little bit of heat resistance. Okay, regular PLA. I mean, some regular PLAs today actually are really good. They're almost nearly as good as PLA Plus. But I think PLA Plus has a little bit of ABS properties. I don't know if they mix a little bit of ABS or PETG into the PLA. I want to say they mix some PETG because some PLAs I've noticed are a little stringy, and that's something, kind of a symptom that comes along with PETG. But there is some heat resistance to the PLA where it doesn't warp. Like if you were to use a regular PLA and you're out in the sun, it's gonna melt your suit, especially in hot places like Texas. Or I don't recommend being in direct sunlight anyway, but if you absolutely had to, I recommend against regular PLA. So for this suit, I used PLA Plus. On my last suit, I used PLA, just regular PLA. So I'm very careful when I've worn it to not wear it in hot environments, or at least direct sunlight. I've done it usually on cold days. But this one is PLA Plus. So we should do a lot better being in direct sunlight, or I wouldn't be as scared if I got forced into a situation where I had to wear it in the sun for a few minutes or a little bit. I wish ABS was better, but I guess there's a new like ASA or something that's similar to ABS. I just love PLA Plus. It just works. It gives me no issues. The Sunlu brand also, it just prints. There's no problem. I never have an issue. If there's an issue, it's usually my fault because I didn't calibrate it right, or set it up right in the slicer to print correctly. Didn't add enough supports, or I didn't orient it the right way. I love 3D printing, guys. It's so awesome that just at home, those props you dreamed about as a kid or thought you could never have, like almost everything that you grew up with as a kid, you could pretty much 3D print. Almost everything. Except fabric props. You know, you can't 3D print a Superman suit. You know, you could 3D print parts of a Batman suit, but you're still going to have to incorporate some fabric skills, you know, to get that suit on it. But still, it's so amazing. It's still, like, to this day, 3D printing, it blows my mind. Even as simple as the technology is, when you really think about it, it's still just, it blows my mind that we can print a physical object of our liking. Just, it's weird that this little machine just creates this. Like, fathom that, guys. Fathom that. This came off a small machine, a RoboCop suit that looks like it's from the movie. It came off of a 3D printer. I know maybe I'm getting a little too excited. I'm easily excitable, as you can tell. But even to this day, I've been doing this since 2016. I've only came publicly in 2020 when I started my channel. But I've been 3D printing since 2016. And to this day, still, I'm just as ecstatic and excited about 3D printing, even though it hasn't really advanced very much, of just what you can do. I think what is getting better, like FDM as a whole, is not getting better. You know, the technology is just slightly advancing. But what is getting better is the modeling. The 3D modeling that people are doing. Like, it is insane, the stuff that people are modeling nowadays. The realism, how just, it blows my mind. I'm telling you. There is some amazing 3D modelers out there that are bringing these props that we grew up with as kids to life for us 3D printing fanatics to print out. That's what's getting better. That's what's advancing, is the modeling, more than anything. But FDM, it has its cons like this, but it gets you what you want. You put in a little bit of work, a lot of work, you get what you want. And that's why I love about it. It's just, it's so cool that I can just, if I want to go print a Batman, you know, a helmet or, you know, whatever, cowl, and or print an Iron Man helmet or a Power Ranger helmet or a Terminator head, I can go do that. Right now, I can just go start a print. I got enough filament. Filament's cheap. And that's another thing that's great about 3D printing. To this day, the filament prices are cheap. Even with the COVID and inflation, filament is still cheap. And it allows you to do these projects very cost effectively, you know. Like this this RoboCop suit, if you already have a 3D printer, okay, it's another secret. If you're with me, I'll let you in too. If you already have a 3D printer, even an Ender 3, something as small as an Ender 3, you don't have to have a CR10. You don't even have to have a big printer. My first RoboCop suit, I printed on a small little bed, like literally that big. I just cut it up into tons of pieces, but I was able to get it done. Even on an Ender 3, you can print this suit, no issue. You have to cut it up maybe a little more pieces, but you can do it. But if you already have a printer, this suit would probably cost you, I don't know, maybe like $700. If you have to buy the files too, I want to say rough estimate, about $700. That's like material, primer, everything. I want to say about $700 to do a suit completely. The way that I'm doing it. Don't quote me on that, give or take. That's cheap. I know that's a lot for some, especially right now. But considering an actual, like, screen, because to me, honestly, even with the inaccuracies, this looks like a screen suit to me. It looks like a screen used movie statue when it's finished. Fred Barton has the molds to the actual screen use suit. You could look him up, Fred Barton. I think it's Barton Robots or something. I don't know the exact website. He doesn't list the price, but I know if he'll even do it for you. And if you did order it from him, you probably wouldn't get it for like 10 years. But anyway, he probably sells that statue for 15 grand, guys. I'm going to say at least 15 grand now. 15 grand for a RoboCop suit statue when you can 3D print one that looks nearly as good, nearly, very close as good for 700 bucks. I mean, weigh that with your conscience a little bit. 700 bucks. That's why 3D printing is amazing. That's why to this day 3D printing blows my mind. That the modeling is getting better, the models are better, and I can print it out. Even though the printers themselves aren't advancing that much, I can print it out and do it at a fraction of the cost of what the actual movie prop would be. Now I get it, it's from the movie, the lineage is directly from it, that's what makes it so expensive, but still. So when I stand up, the light hits it, and I start seeing some things. Really liking that engraved logo that I modeled. That's another inaccuracy I corrected. I left it on my last suit, so I showed you how much I cared on my last suit. But on this suit, I did correct it. Do a little sanding off camera here. Alright, so get that one laid out. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Barely. So yeah, $700 can be a lot. Fraction of a cost of what you'd pay to get the actual suit model, screen accurate suit model for. Even compared to a Hansing suit, a Hansing suit comes around, you're gonna pay probably $6,000, still $700 to do it yourself, and the suit looks way better than a Hansing suit. It just, that's good. It's really good. I really wanted to do the Iron Man Mark III suit. Then I was just kind of second guessing myself, and I don't know. I just feel like Iron Man suits aren't as original, you know. So many people do them. They're pretty common now. Maybe not so common as like in public, out in the public, but online and YouTube, there's just so many people doing Iron Man suits, you know. I mean, I get it. That property it's huge, you know. It's a crazy popular property. RoboCop is not nearly as popular as Marvel. And I guess selfishly, I think that way too. I'm like, well, you know, maybe the Iron Man would help the channel and, you know, bring more people in. But, you know, it's hard to get motivated when it's not super original. Like, there's really not very many people that are doing RoboCop suits, and it's something I love and I'm more passionate about than Marvel. Not that I don't like Iron Man. I really, really like Iron Man. But, I mean, not nearly as much as I like RoboCop. But, you know, who's to say I won't? And then there's Frank Lee Bill, and he does the Iron Man, and he's pretty much got a chokehold on the Iron Man thing. So there's no way I'd be able to be competitive with him. And he's really good at it, you know. So kudos to him. My wife, for Halloween this year, wants me to do Star-Lord. Now, I don't really know a whole lot about Guardians of the Galaxy, so I apologize, guys, if I butcher it, if you're even watching. But she wants to be the green lady. Not She-Hulk, but the lady that's in it, whatever character it is that's all green. And I think she's Hispanic, the actress, my wife said, and my wife's Hispanic, so she thinks she could kind of pull it off. And she wants me to be Star-Lord, so after I'm done with this RoboCop suit, that's probably a little small project I'm going to do on the side. And then I really, really want to do, I guess I'll share it with you guys, an 89 Batman. There's a really, really good model of it on CG Trader that a guy did. And it's like a statue, though, so it's not wearable. And I don't really care. I don't really want to dress up as Batman. But I wouldn't mind having the statue. And it's an 89 Batman, and it's a really good model. Like, really close to screen accurate. And I think that might be a project I want to do next. I don't know if I want to do the full 89 Batman, the whole entire statue. He has a bust as well, which is just the upper, you know, from the waist up, but it's the same model. And I was thinking of maybe doing that. I don't know. What do you guys think? If someone's watching, what do you think about an 89 Batman? What do you think about that? Would that be interesting? Especially with the new Flash movie coming out that has the 89 Batman. Michael Keaton made his return. Maybe that'd be a cool thing to do to go along with that movie. Even though I don't know how popular it's going to be. What's the name of that character? My wife's coming out to check and make sure I'm still rocking and rolling. What's the name of the character with the girl?
Gamora.
That's green? Gamora.
Gamora.
Yeah, she wants to be Gamora, and then she wants me to be Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, yes.
So I'll be out there faking it until I make it, because I don't know really anything about Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm sure my wife will lead me and she'll guide me along. That's for Halloween. That's going to be our Halloween video this year. Guardians of the Galaxy. And the new movie's coming out, so. Which, I don't know if it will be good or bad. Disney's gone very woke, you know. I'm not really a woke guy. With all the ideology and stuff they're putting in movies these days. I miss the 80s and 70s. 70s was probably the golden era of movies. I kind of miss movies of those caliber. Seems like all movies now are trying to make a point and sharing their ideologies. I guess movies come off very preachy these days. Like, you should believe this. This is what is right. You can't have an opinion. This is it. You know, it's like, get out of here with that stuff. Just make a movie. Be passionate about it. Don't try to force something into it. Especially when they take like an IP or a property that you really enjoyed as a kid and they just ruin it with being too preachy and trying to share their ideologies with you. Like it's gospel, you know. I know there's probably some gems out there. I don't really watch a whole lot of new movies, to be honest. I just kind of stick with the old stuff. Don't not broken. Like I was really looking forward to the new Star Wars where they brought back Anakin from the new old trilogy, I guess, the episode 1, 2, and 3 on Disney Plus, and oh, they butchered that. They woke-ified that so bad. I mean, there was some high points, but sad, really, really sad. Alrighty, guys. So if you're new to 3D printing and you're still watching, what do you think about all this sanding? Honest truth. Just lay it out there. Who cares what anybody else thinks? What do you think about all this sanding? I can tell you what I think about it. You already heard me say it. It sucks. It really sucks. But I'm starting to feel better about it because I'm kind of over the hill right now with, at least for today. I'm starting to get a little bit more excited. Like, you're almost there with the big bulk of it. Now it's just layering on the filler primer, doing a little bit of the detail work, and you're done, man. You're done. Pretty good. Good enough. Good enough for this round, guys. If you don't have a compressor with a blower, what works good is just buying some compressed air cans. They're a little pricey, but you know, if you buy several, it would get you through a lot of this. Just blowing some of that dust off, especially before painting. That's always the most important part to do it. Hey, you know what? I still have a bunch of sheets left, and I think we're going to be just fine. Let's get rid of this. I would say when you're doing the suit, the areas that you really want to address the most would be like the chest piece, the arms, and the helmet, if that makes any sense. And that's because those are the pieces that people are really going to look at. I think the most iconic parts of the RoboCop suit are the chest, the helmet, and for me, the upper arms. So those are the areas I would put my most attention on when it comes to detailing and cleaning up, because that's what people are going to look at. They're going to look at that helmet. You know, they really are going to look at that helmet, and does it look like the movie? That was always a problem with the Hansing suit that I had, is I felt like that helmet, it didn't look like the movie suit helmet to me. The visor looked really thick and wide, and it just was off. This looks like it's just like the movie to me. Now, of course, you get up close, you'll see, you know, there's a few little things, I know, but it looks like the movie to me once it's finished. But so when you're detailing it and cleaning up and smoothing it out, put your attention on those pieces. The legs, and not as much, don't worry about it. But those pieces, you won't regret putting the work into it. If you're starting to print this, probably should have talked about this earlier on when probably had a few more of you watching, but be aware that it's going to take you a while to print the whole suit out. It is. It's not going to be fast. It might take some of you a month, depending on your time, if you're really invested. If you're not as invested, it might take you up to 3 months to print the whole suit out. So keep that in mind. Just printing it out takes quite a while. And then you have to glue everything together. That's going to take you hours, days. Then you gotta, the way I did it was I printed everything out, then I glued everything together. Then I kind of did like some palm sanding to help with some of the glue seams that I had. And I added some filler primer. And then I put in all the Fox, or I've been corrected quite a bit on this. It was always Fox growing up, but I don't know what it is on the internet now. It's faux. Faux. Put my faux screws in, my fake Fox screws. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So it doesn't matter how I say it. If you know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Fox screws. So I did all that. That took hours. So it took hours and days just to get it to the point of... And I fiberglassed it. That's a whole nother thing too. That took several days because I had to trim everything, clean it up, smooth it out. So... And I still think this is the worst part. It's still rough doing all that, gluing it together, and that's still a lot of work. It's rough. But I still think this is the worst part. This is where I've heard testimonies of people, a lot of people, several. This is where they quit. This is where they give up. This is where they tap out. It's either too much work, they didn't expect it to be this much work, and I get it because on YouTube we time lapse everything. You know, I've started doing it. It's because people don't watch. I mean, nobody's attention span. This isn't entertaining. You know, this stuff's not entertaining. So no one's attention span. You know, you can't just show the whole entire. Look, we're already at like 3 hours now. I think. I don't know. Let me see. Where are we at? We're at 2.5 hours of sanding. You wouldn't watch nobody's probably watching now 2.5 hours of sanding. So we time lapse it, and people's attention spans, like I said in my intro, have gotten way, way, way worse. You know, unless it's like bombs going off entertaining, nobody's going to watch it. So I thought it would be fun to show you guys what it really takes. What you really got to do. And this is just one initial sanding. But yeah, anyways, you know, you'll watch YouTube and you'll see guys do amazing things, and then they have their time lapse, you know, of sanding. And I'm guilty of it because I do it too. It's just the way YouTube works. You know, you want people to try to watch your video, so you don't want to give them, you know, an hour-long video because no one's probably going to watch it. But anyway, you see the quick time lapse, and then the initial person that's new to 3D printing goes, "Oh wow, I could do that. That's easy." And then they're like, "Why is mine not turning out that way?" Because it's going to take more coats, more sanding, more filling in, and they're like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm good. I'm out." Completely understand. So I hope this video helps some of you to really see, you know, at least at this point, what it's going to take. Stand up, guys. I see more rough spots, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to spray a ridiculously heavy filler primer coat on there. So there we go. Just a few more things to go. Not too shabby. Okay. Let's knock this helmet out. Like I said, this is what you want to spend most of your time on. I'll probably spend more of my time on it on the next few rounds. But this is just to get a little bit of this spot putty off of here. Another thing to keep in mind, this is messy. I have this stuff all over me. You can taste it. Yeah, it's bad. It's a part of it. You can see those low poly areas, how that spot putty really fills in those low poly areas. It's really good, especially like right in here. Now, why are you making this video, Chris? I am making this video for the newcomers. That's primarily, I know some of you that have been doing this, you already know that this takes hours. You already know the pain. But there's just, I don't know, I felt like there's a lack of transparency, and I understand why. I mean, YouTube's is a numbers game. It's a money game. You know, you want to make videos that people want to watch, and I knew right off the bat, nobody's going to watch this video. But for the new guy, he doesn't know, you know, he's naive. He has no idea what it takes. That was the goal of this video. And I know there's not very many of those, you know, I'm not expecting to go viral. You're not going to go viral. But there's going to be that one person maybe that's just like, it might encourage them. It might inspire them to go, hey, I can do that. I could totally do that. But there might be those ones that come along and go, I didn't know it took that much work. Thank you for showing me what it takes. So that was the goal, guys, with this. That is the goal. When I came into it, my mentality was, I didn't care, you know, I didn't care what it took. I was going to do it, you know. I was willing to risk it all, so some of you are going to be like that. You're like, I don't care how long it takes, I'm going to do it. Great mentality to have. But I know there's people out there doing research, like, is this worth it? You know, is it worth the work? That's one thing I noticed. I'm ranting today. And I'm a positive guy. I love life. I'm blessed. I love my life. I'm grateful. I have the greatest wife in the world. I'm so blessed. I have the greatest job in the world. Life's good. You know, the Lord has blessed me. I'm very grateful for all the work that the Lord has done in my life. But one thing I notice on YouTube, everywhere, is, you know, someone want to show off their project, right? They'll take some pictures or some video. I've had it happen to me. I know there's tons of you that have had it happen to you. Is someone will drop that comment and they go, yeah, my wife's coming out taking it.
Talking to people.
I think she's gonna go do some running around.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sell some stuff.
Oh, that's fine.
The post office and the grocery store. You want anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you though.
Okay, I'll make lunch after. How far are you?
We're getting there. We're close.
Oh wow! It's only 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Almost 3 hours to sand this thing, guys. We'll see who's with me. Who's with me right now? Drop a comment. Timestamp it. Who's with me right now? And if you skipped all the hours and you're like, I'm here, no, don't do that.
It doesn't count.
Only those ones that stuck with me every minute. Every minute. Get your glory down in the comments.
Rob called.
Huh?
Rob called.
He did?
Yeah,
Okay.
he said he's not working tomorrow. He just wanted to let you know because he's going to be with the family. So,
Oh, okay.
So it might be case tomorrow, but you're still in station 3.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Just be nice and letting you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, honey, I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Do you want anything else?
No.
Okay.
Oh, gas. I need gas. I need gas. Since you're out, you know. Thank you. My wife's driving my GT Mustang, and she sounds like she's acting like she's really cool. And she drives stick. My wife knows how to drive stick. She's legit. Too legit to quit. But anyways, alright, I got cut off. I got distracted. One thing that drives me crazy with people these days is, you know, a guy will do a really... Okay, by now you guys have been with me long enough to know how much work this takes, okay? It takes a lot of work, as I've said many times. And a guy, he's happy about it. He's proud. He put in hours and hours. He did this amazing prop, no matter what it is. There always seems to be that one guy. He can't acknowledge that person's hard work that they put into that, and he'll go, files, ? Files. What files did you use? What's the STL? Like, really? The guy did that much work, he's showing it off to you, and all you can think about as a selfish human being is, where are the files? I'm entitled. Tell me. I need them. Like, really, guy? Really? When I set out to do this RoboCop suit, I didn't need nobody to tell me where to find these files at. I found them because I wanted it bad enough, that I looked hard enough. I didn't want to be spoon-fed. You didn't have to hand anything to me. I put in the work. If you're like that, those people, what's the STL file? Where's the STL file? If you're those people, and I know there's some of you, you're probably not watching this video. I don't think you would have the attention span to be here this long. But those types of people, they'll never finish a suit. Like, really, if you can't work hard enough to find the files that person's using, Now, granted, some are hard, but just the entitlement that now some people are nice. They'll go, you know, that's an amazing thing. Is there any chance you could share the file? Totally understandable. I'm talking about those files, please. Like, you owe me. You owe me. You show me. I'm entitled to that. Like, get out of here, dude. Get out of here. You're not going to finish it anyway. You go find the files. You ain't going to finish it anyway. With that mentality, you need to be spoon-fed like that. You ain't going to do nothing. You might buy the files. They're just going to sit in your computer. They're never going to go anywhere. Sorry, I had to get that rant out of the place. Drives me nuts. But all you people out there that have to deal with that too, I commend you and thank you for your hard work and sharing your hard work. As you can tell, I'm taking a little bit longer on the helmet just because it's kind of the heart of the suit in a lot of ways. Looking good. That looks pretty good. Pretty sharp. Sharp enough for me. Oh, chin guard. So yeah, those people, I'm telling you. We live in this age of everyone thinks they're entitled to something. Maybe those people aren't even real. Maybe they're just bots. I don't know. It's just like no one wants to work hard for anything anymore. It's like, feed me. I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen WALL-E, but they were turning into a WALL-E society. I'm telling you, like nobody wants to work hard for anything. You can't even get people to hardly work these days. Now, laziness is something we all have to overcome. It's a struggle for all of us, trust me. So please, if you're that person, be nice to somebody if they're showing their work, you know. Give them the credit where credit's due. Then maybe ask for the files. Then ask for the files, but nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. They don't owe you a penny. So many people, even on my channel, where are the files? Where can I find? I mean, literally, like, all it takes is a Google search, and, like, it pops right up. Literally, it pops right up in Google Images. I don't mind helping some of you. Some of you are really nice, and, you know, you ask very politely. Some no. But piece of sandpaper. I thought of doing, like, I don't know what you guys think. You tell me what you think. of doing like an open stream, maybe like a live stream of like just being in the garage, you know, you guys coming along with me, working with me, you know, watching me take my pee breaks and whatnot, coming back out, going to work, not actually watching me do my pee break, but, you know, being with me in real time, you know, what it really takes to do this stuff. And just, it ain't going to be no fancy camera work or nothing, kind of similar to this. You know, you just kind of sit with me, work with me in my workshop. And I thought that'd be kind of cool, but I don't know if anybody would be that interested in it. If you are, let me know. You know, I've never done a live stream. I don't know how well they work. I'm not super tech savvy, so I'd have to research it a little bit. But if you're interested in something like that, let me know. Like garage days or something. Open garage. You know, Chris Boss Props Open Garage, where y'all are invited and you can come sit with me and we'll work and do this project together in a more intimate fashion. Is that the word? Intimate? Sit down, shoot the breeze. Y'all can share what's on your mind. I'll share what's on mine and talk about our days or, you know, anything prop related. I don't know everything. I would try to help the best I can with what you're doing. And I'm sure a lot of you can help me with what I'm doing. I don't know everything, that's for sure. I might come off like I do, but I don't. Willing to learn. I'm willing to learn, but sometimes I'm not willing to change. I think all of us have this innate stubbornness, you know. We're set in our ways. Yeah, I've noticed that. Very nice. There we go. The chin guards, I'm not too overly concerned about them. They look really good, even with their imperfections. Just not too worried about this part, this piece. Do it a little sanding, and I'm probably good to go. Don't go crazy on the chin guards. The front chin guard do good. This back one, it looks good even if you leave print lines. Like my last one's terrible. It looks really good when it's painted though. It's got a nice even coat of paint. But I get in here with a file though, and I do kind of clean up the lines. But that's a later job. All right, good enough for me. So I'm off camera, just assembling the helmet. Okay, guys, we're almost there. These again, not overly worried about them. I have to really come back and clean these layer steps up, maybe with a soldering iron or, I don't know, file. orbital sander. But this will get the initial, the light print lines. Cool. Use a soldering iron too. These little kneecaps here are probably the roughest part of the suit. You know, I've been grateful though wearing this suit that the many hours that I've worn it so far, I've had no really like major breaks. And this piece reminds me because when I was wearing my suit, one of these did break. It snagged up and it cracked off, and I had to repair it. But that's it, really, out of my whole suit. This little dumb kneecap thing is the only thing that broke. But I did a quick repair of it, and it was no issue. But the most insignificant piece is the one that broke on me. Cool. Make sure I'm still online, guys. What? We're still online. That 128 gigabyte SD card, it's still trucking with 4K. That's what I was worried. I wasn't going to make it, but I'm looking out. We're almost there. So I hope this helped. I hope. I know it's boring, but it's real time. You know, I hope this helped you guys. You see what you have to deal with when you're taking this on. This is what you have to go through. I'm sure there's some other ways around it, kinda, but you're still gonna be doing this regardless. File for that area for sure. But we'll do that later. That's just a good initial first step sanding. Alright guys, I think my battery's dying. I think I'm barely making it. I'm probably like at 5%. So, yeah, it took us 3 hours. Let me get this off of the thing. It took us about, I can't even see, my phone darkened on me. Three hours. We're right at 3 hours and 1 minute. Yeah, I hope you get the title. This is the dark reality of 3D printing, guys. Thank you for coming along with me. This is what it's going to take for you to finish any kind of suit. It's a lot of work. That's 3 hours of sanding, and we still have many more hours to go, guys. This is just the first round. We still probably, at least the way I like it, probably 2 to 3 more rounds of sanding. Feeling not the extent of spot putty the way that I did it brushing on, but there's still going to be a lot of sanding to do. So I hope this video helped you guys. If you've watched the whole thing, thank you. You are amazing. You're a trooper. You rule. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.